Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I will be sharing my complete experience of attending a B1-B2 visa interview at the US Embassy in Ottawa. From the moment I entered the security door to the exit after the interview, I will cover everything you need to know. So let's get started. Let's move forward and discuss what should you do and what to expect on the day of your visa appointment. On the day of your appointment, arrive with your application packet fully prepared. The process includes the following steps. Make sure that you have already filled out the DS-160, and then you need to schedule an appointment for your interview. The interview itself is usually quick and takes around 2 to 3 minutes, with only a few questions asked. Based on your answers, the officer will decide whether to approve your visa or not. In my case, they asked me 3 to 4 questions within a couple of minutes and visa officer approved my visa. Now let me walk you through the entire process step by step. Before we start this video, if you are coming to our channel for the very first time, please consider subscribing. I always try to bring videos which could help you learn and be independent. If you have any question, you can reach me directly through my Instagram account. Be sure to subscribe, as all the information I provide is completely free. Let's move. The process begins at the entrance. When I arrived at the embassy, there was already a small queue outside of embassy. You need to have your passport and appointment confirmation handy because the security officers will ask for them before letting you in. Once it's your turn, you'll pass through a security screening area similar to an airport where they scanned my bag and documents. Electronics items like phones, smartwatches, and even bags are not allowed. I was also carrying my mobile phone and smartwatch. They took those items from me and kept in locker and gave me a token. Once my interview was done, I returned the token and got my belongings back. After clearing security, you'll enter the main building. Here, you'll be guided to a waiting area. It's important to stay calm and organized. Make sure your DS-160 form, passport, and supporting documents are in order. Next is biometric. Before the actual interview, you need to provide biometrics, so you will stand in biometric queue. Follow the instructions given by the staff. Once it was my turn, they took my fingerprints and a photo. It's usually a quick and smooth process. If you had previously a US visa, then you need to provide your old passport as well at biometrics counter. Once biometrics were done, then you will be directed to visa interview queue. Next is visa interview. You will see a glass partition separating you from the consular officer. This is the moment where you'll answer questions about your trip, your background, and the purpose of your visit. During the interview, the visa officer first asked for my passport. Here I want to mention that as per my personal experience, they will ask you very basic question. But interview questions may vary depending on the case. But here are some common questions to expect. What is your purpose for visiting the United States? Since you're applying for a tourist visa, answers like tourism, vacation, or travel are appropriate. Do some research about places you want to visit during your visit to USA. Next, have you been to the US before? Be truthful. If you visited before, regardless of the reason or duration, even if you overstayed your visa, disclose it honestly. The officer can see this in their system if you've been to US in past or not, so answer it honestly. Next question is, how long do you plan to stay in the US? Provide a realistic duration. Avoid mentioning long stays like several months or years. Your answer should match the details you have provided on your DS-160. Normally, your trip to USA should not be longer than 1 to 2 weeks, which will increase your chances to get accepted. Next question is, where do you plan to go in the US? Have a detailed itinerary ready, including places you intend to visit. You need to remember the place where you want to visit during your trip. For example, I plan to visit New York City during my trip. I will explore landmarks like the Statue of Liberty, Times Square, and Central Park during my visit to USA. Similarly, you need to answer as per your situation. Next question is, Do you have friends, family, or relatives in the US? If yes, disclose their information and your plans to visit them. In my case, I do not have any relative in USA, so I mentioned that I am visiting my friend in New York where I want to explore city together with him. Next question is, what do you do in Canada? Discuss your job or education. Be prepared to present supporting documents like employment letters or university enrollment records if asked. Based on experience, visa officers usually assess the genuineness of your case within the first 2 to 3 minutes. They may not ask many questions, but it's best to be prepared with clear, honest answers. Don't be nervous, stay confident and truthful, and you'll be fine. After the interview, the officer will keep your passport and you can leave. In my case, visa officer told me that your visa has been approved and I thanked visa officer. And on the way back while exiting embassy, I gave my token at entrance door to collect my belongings and left the embassy. Next, after interview, once your stamped passport is ready, you'll receive an email notification with the tracking number for delivery. Passports will be sent to the address you selected during visa appointment scheduling process. Delivery typically takes 2 to 3 weeks. The US B1, B2 visa stamped in your passport is valid for 10 years. Even if your passport expires early, still your visa is valid for 10 years. In my case, within 2 to 3 days, I received an email confirming that my passport is being shipped, and 6 days later, I had my passport in hand. If you want to know how to apply for a B1, B2 visa, I've made a detailed video where I have explained step-by-step process. You can find link to it in below description. Now let's discuss which documents you need to bring with you on the day of visa interview. Here's what you'll need on the day of your appointment. First is your original and valid current passport. A passport containing the most recently issued US visa, if applicable. If this is your first application, this doesn't apply to you. Your DS-160 confirmation page received via email after completing the DS-160 submission. Next is the appointment confirmation page, a printout of the email, a physical 2" by 2" color photo taken within the last 6 months. This is only required if you have not submitted your photo on DS-160 form. For the photo, ensure it meets the requirements we discussed earlier for the digital image. Visit a professional photography studio and tell them it's for a US tourist visa. They'll know the specifications. The embassy is very particular about the quality of the physical photo, so ensure it's done correctly moving forward. Now, if you're traveling with family members, there are additional requirements. For couples, make sure to carry a marriage certificate to prove your relationship to your spouse. Next, if traveling with a child under 21, carry their birth certificate. You'll also need proof of your legal status in Canada. If you're a permanent resident, bring your PR card. If you're on a student visa or work permit, bring your visa documents, preferably the originals, even if only copies are requested. Here, I want to mention that above listed required documents for US visa, you can also find on your appointment confirmation email. Let's move. Apart from list of documents which we have discussed earlier, additional supporting documents can significantly increase your chances of getting a US visa. One of the key requirements is to prove your intent to return to Canada. This can be done by demonstrating strong ties to the country. This involves demonstrating strong ties to the country through various types of documentation. Let's say, if you are employed in Canada, you can establish these ties by presenting your employment or job offer letter and last 2 pay stubs, which will help to prove your ties. And you can also carry your notice of assessment from the previous year. These documents show that you have ongoing employment and responsibilities in Canada, reinforcing your commitment to return. Next, if you are a university student, then you can demonstrate ties to Canada by providing a copy of your valid student visa or your university registration documents, such as an admission letter or transcripts, and any additional paperwork proving active enrollment in an academic program. These documents confirm your educational commitments, making it clear that your stay in US is temporary. Another important way to establish ties is by proving your current residence in Canada. This can include lease agreements of your apartment or condo, home ownership documents if you have any, or a government-issued ID that shows your Canadian address. These documents highlight your living situation and underline your connection to Canada. Additionally, you must demonstrate your financial ability to afford the trip. This involves providing 3 to 6 months of bank statements showing sufficient funds to cover all expenses, such as flights, accommodation, car rentals, food, and activities. While there is no specific amount required, your bank balance should comfortably cover the estimated cost of the trip. By combining these documents, you can create a strong case for your application, showing that you have genuine travel intentions, sufficient financial resources, and a clear plan to return to Canada after your visit to the US. I hope you guys find my videos useful. I always try to bring videos which could help you and help you learn and be independent. If you like our video, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching and best of luck with your applications.